Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to my outdoors Sunday recovery chat. I hope you're getting the sound of the birdsong because it's beautiful. Now, I'm a little disappointed in the cloud cover because when I decided to do this, it was sunny, and now the sun has gone behind the clouds and it's a little cold. So I've got some coffee. I can warm my hands up with the coffee. It's a nice feeling. It's a lovely feeling, actually. Something to be mindful of, you know. Yes, Angus, indeed. I am outside trying something new today because earlier this morning it was really sunny and I sat outside for my 15-minute meditation and it was amazing. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna bring you all outside onto my porch for my Sunday recovery chat. So here we are, and now it's cold, but it's nice. The sound of the birds, and this is the view from my porch. That's my living room just there in that window, where I sit and talk on Zoom all day long. So I guess you haven't all seen this view. This is the view basically from my kitchen window as well, where I stand and wash the dishes several times a day. And here's Willow. Willow's come to say hi. Come say hi to all my friends. Willow's our Bengal. We have two Bengals. Willow's the granddaughter. We also have the grandmother. And she does have tortoiseshell markings, but you can't always see them when the sunlight hits her coat. You can see that her grandmother rather, is tortoiseshell. So we have Matt from London joining on YouTube. Yeah, London. London has its pros and its cons, as in fact does Aaron. My balcony overlooks a road with sirens, buses, and not a single tree in sight. And Angus says the same. Dear Lord. There's a crow flying past. Hyder Shahid. London is boring. Well, yeah, unless you enjoy going to musicals, or at least back when that was a thing. Because we actually booked for my daughter's birthday, which is coming up again, March the 16th. Last year we bought tickets to go and see Hamilton, which was a dream of hers. And obviously it didn't happen. We also bought tickets for another two musicals because we were going to make the best of it while we were in London. Didn't happen. So she still has never been to London and she didn't get to see Hamilton, which is a real shame. So this year we've booked tickets to go to the Albert Hall in May, I think, to see a concert of movie themes. I think it's going to be orchestra playing new movie themes because that's a thing that my daughter wants to get into. That's her dream, is to be in an orchestra playing scores for movies. So we'll see if that happens. I'm guessing not. I'm guessing that, is it June, end of June, I think? Our Prime Minister is saying that travel will open up again. Hyder's asking how far I am from Ulster. You can see it on a clear day from the other side of the island. Not sure how far in terms of miles, but it's visible across the water on a clear day. Are most of the Northern Irish folk from Ayrshire? Not that I know of. I don't know. So yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a busy week. It's been a good week for content creation. It's been a good week for mental health. It's been a good week for recovery. I've been stepping back a little bit from the Zoom calls. I've missed two that I could have attended because I want to make content and I want to play my guitar. Excuse me. And I'm not playing guitar. At least I haven't been up until my friend Nicola suggested that I start practicing live on the internet, making myself accountable to myself primarily. And here's the thing, it's working. On Thursday, I scheduled one of these calls to go out on my Acoustic Guitar IO channel at 8 p.m. And I scheduled it in the morning because I knew that when the night time came, I wasn't going to feel like doing it. But the morning me wanted to make sure that I did do it because the morning me knows how good I feel after doing it. So when it got closer to the time, it was 7:30. I'd scheduled it for 8. I was like, oh, why did I do that? I'm so tired. Wish I hadn't done that. I just want to chill. But in fact, I wouldn't have chilled because at exactly the same time, there was an alumni support session for Part-Time YouTuber Academy, which, had I been a bit more sensible, I probably would have scheduled my thing for 9 and gone to that session at 8. But, and this is what I'm talking about, I don't need to go to everything. I really don't. And much as I love Bav, whose session it was on Thursday, it was probably a good move. So I did. I showed up for my guitar stream. If you want to see it, you can. If you want to subscribe to it, that would be even better. If you visit acousticguitar.io, acousticguitar.io, you'll get links to all of my socials and stuff. I do it on YouTube. I do it on my Facebook page, both of which are called Acoustic Guitar IO. And it goes out on Twitter as well at Camille. And so far I've done 3 sessions. Today's Sunday, which means there's another session going out tonight. So I need to schedule that. I'll do that when I get off this call. To make sure that I show up, you know. So if I schedule it for 8, it means finishing at 9, spending an hour with my wife watching TV, because I love to do that, and I'm not doing that enough either, which is another of my value goals, another of my things that I'm working on making better, spending time with my wife. So that's a good call, I think. 8 p.m. guitar practice, 9 p.m. chill time. That can go beyond 10. And screens off at 10. This is a thing I'm trying to practice as well. Screens off at 10 so that I'm not getting that screen light going into my eyes. And if I can, go to bed with a book. At the moment I'm reading a really good crime novel, which is magic, you know. It's like finding myself relaxing in bed with an actual book that's not YouTube related, it's not business related, it's just, you know, wind down. So these are the kinds of things I'm trying to practice. Angus is asking, what am I reading? It's a Inspector Rebus book. It's called Standing in Another Man's Grave. I've read a lot of Rebus books written by Ian Rankin. Oh, Willow, you can't. No! Oh! Right, fixed time. She rubbed herself on the phone. And I've got coffee hands. Let's fix this. Right, where were we? This is why dogs are better than cats. Absolutely, Angus. I am with you 100% on that. In fact, there's Poppy chilling. Not knocking down anything. Not being a pain. Just lying there, chilling. Yeah. Live streams, folks. You get what you get. Don't be upset. So yeah, now I've got that microphone in frame. So yeah, I'm reading Ian Rankin, Inspector Rebus. I just love that kind of chill time. And Ian Rankin's his novels are great. Throw away, forget them when you've read them, but enjoy them as you read them. Yep, so that's my recommendation. Not catching up on the... Here's Eric. Good morning. Nice change of scenery. Those birds are way too happy. Morning. And there is a cat policing the birds' choir. Yeah. That's another thing about cats, is they kill birds and then bring them into the living room. That season's about to start again. And voles and mice, because, you know, where we live, there's wildlife everywhere. We've also got red squirrels. Red ones, yeah. This is one of the beautiful things about this island. There are no grey squirrels. And as some of you may know, the mainland is plagued by grey squirrels. And they have basically, how do you put it? They've got rid of all of the greys. They've eaten all their food, and the reds have not survived because the greys took over. So on Arran, we've got red squirrels everywhere, and it's such a treat to see them. And you can see them almost every day. Where I live, just down here, pathway cuts along the back of the houses, and there's red squirrels everywhere. Across here, where I dump the grass cuttings, when I'm going to have to start doing that again quite soon. Red squirrels. It's amazing. They come in the garden. Not only that, if you go down to the south end of the island, which is maybe 10 miles away from here, you're going to see seals. Not just a couple. You're going to see tens, if not hundreds of seals basking on the rocks. So this is my unfair advantage. Nature. And not only that, let's get into the hiking, the mountains. This is something excuse me, I used to hike a lot, and back in my army days, obviously, they made us do it, usually in Yorkshire or the Lake District, and it's in the Lake District where I had my accident and smashed up my leg and almost died. But hiking is something I enjoy, and when I moved to Arran, I'd been here many times before, and I'd gone up Arran's highest mountain, which is called Goat Fell, which is just under 3,000 feet. So it's not a Munro. A Munro is a mountain of over 3,000 feet. It's 2,000, I should know this, 2,877, I think, in feet. So it's actually a Corbett, is the technical term for it. But that's not to say it's not challenging. However, Goat Fell's quite an easy climb. A lot of tourists come over, walk up Goat Fell, come back down, and head back off the island. There's a pathway most of the way up. Now it does get challenging at the top, as I experienced when trying to take my basset hound up there a few years ago now, and having to lift her up over the rocks at the top. But the mountain range that Goatfell forms a part of is spectacular. Absolutely stunning. Was it 3 years ago, I think, for the first time I went up a different route to a peak called Castile Abel, which is a Gaelic name. They all have Gaelic names. It's known as the Castles. And it was the second time I'd done it. The first time I did it with a friend of mine, old school friend actually, who came over to visit. And he and I walked up together in the driving rain with no visibility whatsoever. It was still an enjoyable day, funnily enough, but I didn't get to experience any of the views, which was a real shame. So I told myself I was going to go back. And I did. Was it the following year or was it later that year? I can't actually remember. But I did go back. I went myself. I took Poppy, Akita, the sleeping Akita. And we went up. I went up. Well, we with the dog. I went up myself on the same route that I did with my friend. And this day, the views were the best views I've ever seen. Maybe not as good as Grand Canyon. I've been to Grand Canyon. But close. And I experienced a moment of absolute joy. You know that feeling, I hope you know this feeling, of just experiencing something bigger than us. Do you know what I'm saying? That higher power that keeps me sober. I felt connected to that. And I had my camera with me. I took lots of shots. It's one of those places where you could basically point your camera in any direction and your picture's going to be a banger. I got some incredible shots from that walk. And last year, let's get to last year. I had some friends come over and visit. One of the same friends I did the walk with earlier. And they were doing probably one of the most notorious ridges, going to a place called the Witch's Step, which also has a Gaelic name that I can't pronounce. Cumnacally, something like that. And I decided that that was going to be too much of a challenge for me because, I mentioned my accident. My leg is still messed up. My ankle's fused completely. And I'm grateful that I can still get into the hills, but I do have my limits. So I didn't go and meet them to do that particular part of the ridges, but I did go to another place where I knew that they were going to hit coming back down, and then I walked down with them. And as I was doing that, as I walked up Glenrosa Valley with my audiobook playing, with my camera, I did do some vlogging, but I didn't publish, I don't think. But as I was walking, I was thinking, I need to do this more. Why am I not doing this every week? So I met them at what's called the Saddle. So it's basically a dip coming down from Goatfell's Peak and going towards Kirvor. And that's what I'm getting to. Kirvor is the Gaelic name meaning the big comb. I think it's Arran's second highest peak. And I'd never been up it. So I met my friends on the Saddle, which got me close to Kirvor, got me looking up. And I said, I'm going to do that this year. And I did. It wasn't easy. I went up and it was probably about 4 p.m. by the time I made the peak. And it was a struggle. But I made it, and it's one of my biggest achievements, I think. I mean, not just physically because of the fitness and because of my injury, but also because of the psychology, because I fell off a cliff. That's how I damaged my leg. So going back into the mountains, it's like getting back on the horse in a lot of ways. So the psychological win was important. So yeah, I have some pictures of that as well. If you want to see my pictures, probably best go into my Flickr page, because almost everything goes on Flickr. You can go to cams.photo and you'll find my galleries there. I think there are some mountain shots on there. So cams.photo, which is a curated gallery of my best shots. And also my Flickr page. My username on Flickr is camsinlux, because when I created that account, I lived in Luxembourg. So yeah, go and check them out. I've been taking pictures for years. So what's going to happen this year? Well, I don't know. I would like to get back in the hills. I would like to make it more of a weekly thing, at least a fortnightly thing. I mean, it seems crazy to live where I do, in a place where people travel for many, many miles, sometimes from other countries, simply to experience our mountains. So it's crazy not to be going into those mountains when it's just a 2-mile drive or a 5-mile drive. You know what I'm saying? How long have I been rambling? 21 minutes. Hyder is asking about some Ayrshire towns. Is Ayr a nice town? My mum's from Ayr. That's where she grew up. And I used to visit there a lot. Mossblown, is that town named Gaelic? I don't think so. It doesn't sound Gaelic. Yeah, Ayr. I don't know, it's an interesting place because I grew up there, so I'm a little biased. It has a real history. It's a very old town. It's and the harbour, of course, as well. It used to be a big fishing port. It's not anymore. It's kind of run down at the harbour now. And the shopping centres, they're dying. The high street. I mean, I used to go to Ayr shopping. As a teenager, that's where we went for all our clothes, all our records, to our price. The record store up the high street. And then, of course, the pubs and the nightclubs. We used to go to an alternative club called the Powerhouse on was it Friday? Thursday? No, Thursday was the Pavilion. We used to go to Ayr Pavilion on a Thursday night. They had a disco called Grab a Granny. So we would drink in Prestwick, usually in the Golf Inn, and then head into Ayr for Grab a Granny on a Thursday. I think the Powerhouse was Friday nights. Can't remember, it might have been Saturday nights. And they always had a really good night at Christmas Eve. So I think 4 or 5 years on the trot, we went to the Powerhouse for Christmas Eve. That was a good night. Yeah, Ayr. How is it? It goes in the poem. Old Ayr, where ne'er a town surpasses, for honest men and bonny lasses. Yeah, that's Robert Burns from Tam O'Shanter, the famous poem. And I had my wedding reception in Ayr, in Alloway, which is the posh part of Ayr, at the Brigadoon House Hotel. And the Brigadoon, for those of you who know your Burns poetry, you will know that that's the bridge that Tam O'Shanter's mare lost her tail crossing when the witches grabbed Meg's tail and pulled it off as Tam and Meg escaped across the keystone at the Brigadoon. So that's where I had my wedding reception. So I've got some nice wedding pictures of me and Lorraine standing next to the Brigadoon. We've got Hyder chatting about Harrow, a cesspit. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I think a lot of town centres are really in decline, and I think it's just the times, the internet. You know, the internet's killing town centres, and it's a challenging thing for town planners and politicians to come up with a solution on how to regenerate towns, because that's not where people go for shopping anymore. So why would they go there? Coffee shops. I think you find some places that are a bit more affluent, you're going to have coffee shops, you're going to have maybe a bookshop, wine bars. That's what Prestwick's turning into, boutiques. And some of the less affluent areas, like Springburn, where I did my post office training, you're going to find betting shops, charity shops, pawnbrokers. I don't see how you can regenerate those places. Anyway, we're kind of getting political here. That's not my vibe. It's not my vibe at all. Coffee and guitars, that's what I'm about, and recovery. Jack's asking what kind of strings I'm using. These are elixirs. You're right on the coated. They are coated strings. As Jack's comment. They're not my favourite strings in the world, elixirs, but I have 5 guitars and I don't like changing strings. So it's a compromise, I accept that. But they're good enough, you know. So I think it's time to start winding down. I like to keep these to half hour if I can. So if you'd like to catch my guitar practice sessions, come along to youtube.com/acousticguitar.io. I'm going to be practicing tonight at 8 UK time. I'll be playing or practicing a Will McNichol piece called Dragon's Back. Yeah, trouble's brewing. If I do this again, I think I'll use an actual tripod instead of just a gorilla pod on top of the table, because that falls down far too easily. I've probably got coffee on the front of my guitar. I have, because I was holding my coffee when the tumble took place. It'll be interesting to watch that back, actually. See what I look like in panic mode. If anybody's here from the Part-Time YouTuber Academy, Cohort 2, you can come and catch my workshop this afternoon, where I'm going to be doing a presentation on the exposure triangle, shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. 4 PM UK time. I'm going to be working on that presentation when I get off this call. It's actually a little cold for playing, to be honest. Bit of Freight Train to finish off. It's too cold to play, and the guitar's out of tune because of the changing temperatures and humidity. Hyder's asking about Kilbirnie. I have a good friend who lives in Kilbirnie. I don't know it that well. I visited my friend there. Seems like a nice little place, yeah. I think our MP lives in Kilbirnie. Actually, no. Our old MP in the Labour days lived in Kilbirnie, but now we're SNP. So I don't know where our SNP Member of Parliament lives. Somewhere in North Ayrshire, I'm sure. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining. It's been great fun, if a little cold. I'll probably do this more as the weather improves and the temperatures get better. And yeah, I'm planning to spend much more time out here. Excuses, excuses. My friend Ian from across the water. Nice to see you, Ian. I hope you're doing all right. It's nice to see you on my stream. Thanks for joining. So it's sign-off time. I'm going to go in and start working on my presentation about the exposure triangle for this afternoon. I'll see you later. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.